Welcome to episode 1 of the Age of Beauty podcast. I'm here with my friend Jesica, Bries. I'm Casie, Kindl. We're so excited to have you here. This is our very first podcast together for the Age of Beauty podcast, and we're just really grateful that you're here for the journey.
Absolutely, we're excited. We've been planning this and talking about this for, a few months now.
It's been a while.
So it's here.
It's here. Yeah, so today for our first episode, we just want to share the high level of Age of Beauty with you so you know what the podcast is all about, what our mission is, and why you can come along for the journey with us of aging and feeling beautiful through the process.
So we're going to start off by just introducing ourselves and then talking about how we became friends, just so you can kind of get a background on us. And Casie and I met at Iowa State when we were freshmen. It was first week of school,
yeah,
right?
First week.
We went to Rush Week to join a sorority, so it was a week before classes started our freshman year. And we joined the same sorority. We lived in the same dorm. And we would walk to all of our chapter meetings at our sorority together. It was kind of a hike. It probably took, 20 minutes?
Probably. We didn't have cars.
Nope. We walked together every Monday for our chapter meetings, and we quickly became very close friends. It's kind of a group of 4 of us all through college, and we spent a lot of time together that 4 years. We got to know each other's families. I got to know Casie's family very well because they were always up to visit and would take me out to eat and all things. So it was really fun. We would go back to Casie's during breaks, and we did like a New Year's Eve, I think, in Kansas.
That was fun.
One year. And yeah, so we have just continued to be friends ever since. So we've been friends since we were 18 years old. We're now 45.
Yeah,
so
it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. And all of the ups and downs of getting our first jobs, buying our first houses. Casie got dogs right away.
You had kids right away.
I had kids, she had dogs. And then I continued to have kids.
Yeah.
So we've been through all of the stages of life, and now we're kind of at the aging stage, which is interesting. So we have a lot to say about it. So we decided, I guess, to start a podcast.
We did, yeah. And it's just so fun to be able to do this with a friend that's been along for the ride for so long. I think of the people that I'm closest to in my life, and it's just wonderful when you can have someone who's seen you through the ups, the downs, the goods, the bads, the tears, the laughter, like all of it. And that's who I have in Jesica. And she's done a podcast before. I just wrote a book called Age of Beauty. You're going to hear a lot about it because that's a big mission of the podcast, to spread the word of this movement that we want to create and are behind. But when I called her to ask about doing this, she had already been praying about restarting a podcast. And so it just felt like such a serendipitous, fun way for us to do something that can support you, that can be fun, that we can also do together as friends and enjoy the process. Because let me tell you, it's so much better doing this together than I think how I would feel if I was just talking into a camera by myself. So this is great.
Absolutely. I did a podcast by myself. I would have guests on, but it felt a little scary at times. I felt like I was kind of doing it alone. And this time on the drive here, I told Casie, I don't feel any of those nervous feelings. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I have something to say. And this morning, getting all of the technical things ready for this would have been, very frustrating if I was trying to figure this out by myself, even though I've done it before. But we're doing it a little different. This time we're adding to YouTube and adding the video aspect, which I didn't do before, and just remembering how I did everything before too. So everything's better with a friend, right?
It is. Yeah. So you're going to tell them about how many kids you have and a little bit of...
A little scary. So I'm married to my husband, Jeremy. We met in college. We didn't date in college, but that's where we met. And we have 6 kids. We have 3 biological kids, and we have 3 that we have accumulated. 2 are officially adopted, finally. So that has been a big deal in our house lately. We adopted our nephew, who was 15 at the time. Now he is almost 28, married, and has a little baby, so I'm also a Mimi. And we adopted two little ones from foster care. So we have a busy house.
You do.
And we kind of have all the stages. We have an older married kiddo who made us grandparents, and then we have Aiden, who's 16, Layla, who's 14, so we have two teenagers. Chris is 9, and Kai and Kira are 6 and 5. So our youngest is 5, oldest is almost 28. So we kind of have all of the ages, stages. We're out of the baby stage, which is great. That feels good. And I've been a stay-at-home mom most of the time that I have been married. I did do the podcast for a little bit, and just for fun. So and a little few things here and there. I worked at a boutique for just a little bit. Kind of wanted to I go in stages where I need a little something besides mommying, and so I love fashion. So I decided to work at a boutique for a little bit in town, and that was a nice thing. And now this. So I'm ready. I'm ready to be creative and have other things to think about besides laundry and what I'm making for dinner.
Yeah, it's been so fun to watch you and Jeremy go through this process of wanting to start a family that turned into sort of an unexpected adoption of your nephew, and then adoption of your children after fostering them for so many years. I mean, you have such a warm, big, loving home, and it's so fun to be a part of, and it's a lot of work. So to be able to have an excuse to come up and hang out is a lot of fun, and I just love that we're doing this. So a little bit about me. My husband Dustin and we met at Iowa State. So Jesica has known him as long as she's known me, basically, which is fun. And so they give each other a lot of hell and just have a great relationship. We have been married a long time. We dated for 7 years, and it wasn't until I threatened to move away that he finally was like, okay, I'm gonna put a ring on that finger. And so he finally proposed after 7 years. And he's just an awesome guy. He's been supportive of me in my journey. I was in the medical device field for 20 years, and then realized through COVID that it no longer felt aligned to me and what I wanted. So I did a very scary change for me and left the corporate world thinking that I would become a coach and the doors would open and I would have a successful coaching business. Well, I've never been an entrepreneur before, and it took me a while to figure out how to, I've just been failing forward through the process, but it's been so fun. And my latest venture of creating something was over the last year in 2024. I wrote a book called Age of Beauty, and we'll talk more about it, but it's part of wanting to support myself in my own journey of aging and the change that happens through it. Also recognizing through friends that I love and care about that it's not always as fun and easy as maybe it looks on social media and on Instagram. So what are some of the struggles that come with that, and how can we support ourselves, support you as a listener, to support one another as women in this process to where we can enjoy it and actually feel like we're rocking our lives and our best years are ahead, because why not? So we'll get a little bit more into that. But my husband Dustin and I, we live in the Twin Cities of Minneapolis and St. Paul. We have 2 kids who are teenagers. Carson's 14, Ella's 13, and we have always had a lot of pets. Right now we just have 2 dogs, Gunner and Blake, that are very much part of our family. But we've had tortoises and fish and axolotls and more fish and all kinds of stuff in our zoo of a home. So that's a little bit about me.
All right. Well, now that we've kind of talked about how we met and introduced ourselves, we can talk a little bit more of the mission of this podcast, which I feel like is, like Casie said, it's very much aligned with the book that she wrote, Age of Beauty, and that's why we named the podcast Age of Beauty.
Yeah. So as women, we are beautiful in who we are, no matter what we look like, where we come from, what our stories are, like what our struggles have been. We're beautiful in our uniqueness and our wholeness. And yet we live in a culture that tells us that we need to be a certain way, or shows us that we need to be a certain way in order to be very desirable. And that can include things like being thin and youthful and fit and having flawless skin and, you know, thick hair and high energy and all the things that come with the stereotype of attractive, beautiful woman. And the truth is that as we get older and as we age, shit changes. Like the body changes, the hair changes, like it, you know, we need to cover it up more, or we choose to. We have our external environment start to change, and that can be difficult, and it can sometimes feel like we're going through that process alone, even though none of us is. And so the mission of Age of Beauty is to help women like myself, like Jesica, like you, see that that beauty is there no matter what is happening on the outside. And as we look forward to aging, because it's inevitable, we're getting older, it's part of the process, how do we embrace that and love ourselves and just enjoy the ride of life in a way that feels supportive and very holistic in its approach? And so that's why we wanted to create this, ultimately to support you and to support ourselves in feeling as good as we can no matter what age we are.
Absolutely. And in the process of Casie writing this book, and when she was talking about each chapter with me, I just felt like there are a lot of conversations that can be had around all of this. And I don't know if anyone's having them. I am a pretty avid podcast listener, and I don't have any podcasts on my library right now that have to do with aging or that are having these kinds of conversations. And I do think it's very important, because I know I struggle with things. I'm like, should I get Botox? Should I not? You know, how long do I dye my hair? All of the things. I struggled with some weight loss resistance that was really hard emotionally for me. And I know that many, if not all of my friends are dealing with these same exact feelings and thoughts, but we're not talking about it. And we really want this to be a community where we do not feel alone. We have the hard conversations and laugh through them also, because let's face it, some of this stuff is crazy and we should laugh about it, and laughing about things makes things easier too. So we want to talk about these things that we know we're all going through. We want to give helpful advice. We want to give support. We want to make you laugh. And we just want this to be an amazing community where we not only see our flaws, but we really start to love ourselves. And I feel like we could easily miss out on some of these years feeling miserable.
Totally.
Feeling ugly, feeling fat, feeling just not ourselves, when yes, we're going to have these struggles, and we don't look the same, and we're not going to. Yeah. And it's just we're going to age more, right? And we're going to continue to look different and feel different, but we don't have to be miserable.
No, we don't. And some of the why behind wanting to do this is what Jesica shared. She shared her struggles. I have absolutely had my struggles of the negative self-talk, the things that I default to, the looking in the mirror and focusing on where I want to lose weight, or that I need to get in for my next Botox appointment, or, oh, I got to get in to cover that up. And the truth is that by me focusing on those external things, sure, I can control them to a degree. I can book those appointments. I can work to fix them, if you will. But I found that fix was only temporary, and I still would have some negative self-talk. So maybe I would get in and I'd feel good for like a day or two, and then it's like, oh gosh, my eye is drooping a little more from this round than it did last time. So do I go back in? And it's just, it can be this constant effort to change how I look in order to be something, but it was always associated with something in the future. And I realized that I wasn't enjoying my current situation and who I am in this moment near as much as I wanted to. And then I saw friends that I really love and care about literally upset about their next birthday or not wanting to do anything. And I also recently met a woman who, she's in her mid 30s now, but for her 28th birthday, she shared with me that she felt too embarrassed to answer people with the truth that she was celebrating her birthday when she was out that night. So she asked all of her friends who she was celebrating with to pretend that it was a bachelorette party, that it was her bachelorette party, so that if someone came up and asked what they're celebrating, they would say it was her bachelorette party to get married instead of her birthday. And so I think we both have recognized through our own struggles, our own circle of friends, and then broader conversations that the stigma around aging happens early. It happens to all of us. The ways that it impacts us, of course, are different because we're all unique in our journey, but it is something that is pervasive, and we want to be a part of the solution of redefining what it means to feel beautiful, to feel confident, to feel whole and complete in your skin, no matter what age you are, whether you're 89 and like still rocking your best years and living your life and feeling happy and joyful, or you're 25 and you've got hopefully a long runway ahead of you.
Absolutely. I think it's really important. And I do want to be joyful in all of the ages, you know, whether it's 45 or 55 or 65, whatever. And I think I need some help along the way because there's definitely some struggles, you know.
Yeah.
It's definitely a hard deal, but there is a lot of wisdom in Casie's book and her workbook. I've learned a lot, but there's still like a lot more of conversations to be had, and there's a lot more work to be done because there's always things that are going to come up in the future too that I haven't dealt with yet. And so that is our mission. And so I hope you guys are here for it because this is just the start. This is just our introduction episode.
Yeah, just the beginning.
And I think we want to kind of share what topics we are going to have in the future. And we have a lot of ideas. We both have notebooks full of topics. Mm-hmm. And I'm excited to share all of those things. So, I mean, basically anything you can think of as far as anything on the outside. Graying hair, Botox, fat loss resistance, nutrition, but also holistic, I don't know. Help me out.
I'm glad you're doing a great job. Otherwise we'd be deleting, stop, start over. But we're just rolling with it because we can do that. So as Jessica was saying, there's so much external that we can focus on through the aging process. We're going to do that because it's part of it. And so we will talk about things like how with hormonal changes, like she said, the fat resistance, hair loss, metabolic shifts, energy shifts, how that impacts us and what we can do about it. And so as she was saying, with like a holistic perspective, there is the external piece that we can focus on. And I think generally as women and as a society, we're pretty good about that. We've got tons of supplementation options, beautifying things, procedures we can have done, all kinds of stuff. We will touch on that to support our physical beauty and our outward external beauty. And in order to be whole women who fully embrace and embody ourselves as we're aging, we're going to look at other topics too, like what is our mental self-talk that we might not even be aware of consciously now, but we're going to become aware of it so we can start to change it and have it be more loving and supportive in this journey. What are some of maybe the environmental factors that we haven't considered that we can shift in order to reduce aging or slow the aging process? What are emotions that we can embody intentionally so that we feel our best in a given moment? And through that process, we hope to offer you a way of looking at your beauty and aging through the lens of things that you can actually control beyond just the things that support your physical and outward beauty, which for me has been a journey of having to do more and more to maintain as I've gotten older. And that's felt exhausting at times. So I know for myself, I needed something that felt deeper, that I could feel good today as opposed to after I got that next thing done, because the future that I was always striving for never is going to arrive. I've got to figure out how I can feel my best in this moment. And so we hope to bring you the tools, the resources, the guest experts to support you in feeling that and owning that today, no matter what's happening in your external circumstance. Because one thing can be sure, as you age, your external environment, body, all of it, it is going to change. So while we can still enjoy all those things, how do we feel good despite some of that change when it's not the change that we were maybe hoping for or expecting?
Absolutely. Because we need both, right? I mean, I want to hear the best new eye cream, but I also want to feel good about how I look in the mirror, even if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
All of those things, you know, it's great to strength train and get stronger, but that takes time. So I want to look in the mirror today and say, okay, I'm happy how I look and feel today, even though I'm striving to get stronger. And that's okay. It's definitely a balance. And I feel like sometimes that balance is hard. Mm-hmm. But I feel like we can do both. We can incorporate both. And I feel like that's something that Casie and I are going to work really hard in each episode, is to give you information about the newest, the greatest, the this, the that, to look and feel your best. But we're going to be reminding you a lot of how to feel best today.
I love that. Well said. Good job, girlfriend.
Yes. Okay, we're doing it. We're podcasting.
We are. It's happening. Oh my gosh. So we had thought of a few questions that when we have guests on, that we want to ask them at the end of every episode. And because this is our first one and we want you to get to know us better, I'm going to ask you these questions. Are you good with that?
I am.
All right. So the first one is, what's your favorite beauty ritual? Something that supports you feeling beautiful either on the inside or the outside.
Well, I have to say, I don't have a skincare routine right now or anything like that. So my ritual would probably be my hair. So this is all extensions for the most part. I am practically bald due to, I don't know, aging and genetics, and I don't really actually know the cause, but autoimmune issues. So I have very little hair. So my biggest ritual is getting every 5 weeks, getting my hair extensions kind of like removed, moved up, or whatever. Right now they're called invisible bead is what I'm using now. I've kind of done a lot of different kinds, and right now it's the invisible bead. So when you see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I have a very big full head of very long thick hair, which is, it's mine because I paid for it.
I love it. It's a good ritual.
Yeah,
that helps you feel good.
It does make me feel really good.
Yeah, mine that I have had for so long is makeup every day. And I also like taking time to wash my face morning and night, sometimes put a toner on, and then moisturize or sunscreen, and like putting my eye cream on. I enjoy it. I will say that there was a time when I was younger, like my teen years, when I got really, really bad cystic acne, that the makeup was about covering up something. But through the years, I've come to realize that I just really enjoy it. And so even on a day where I'm gonna stay in my pajamas and be home all day and not see anyone, I still will go through that routine, which, I mean, my daughter thinks it's a little crazy, and that's okay. She can have her opinions, but it's just something that it makes me feel good about me. So that's why I love it, because I'm not doing it anymore to like for someone else. I do it for me, and I enjoy just that, 5 to 10 minute process every day, and then washing it all off at the end of the night so it doesn't get on our white pillows and piss off my husband. So that's my favorite beauty ritual right now. Okay, next question.
Okay.
Jessica, so what's one thing you wish you knew that you could share with your younger self about aging or about getting older?
I would say I have always been active, not always super active. I don't mind going for walks, or I don't know, I would get in phases of like doing a certain class or this or that. Just not like super consistent with working out. But as I've gotten older, I realize how important weight training and building muscle is for your body and also your bone density and just getting older, and that it's so much easier to build muscle and keep it when you're young, and it's harder to build it and keep it when you're older. So I wish I would have really prioritized strength training when I was younger.
I thought you were gonna say healthy eating, because I was always like the health freak, and I would bring things to Jessica in college and she would just laugh like, what is this? What are you trying to get me to eat? Is this poison?
You would also lie and tell me it tasted good, and it didn't. So bad. Some of it was real bad. Like sometimes she would make oatmeal and pour like a whole bunch of honey on it, and that tastes good.
Yeah.
But
how was the matcha latte that I made for you
that
today?
was good.
Okay, because there were...
I love all the healthy stuff now, and I love coming to her house and looking in her cabinets and being like, what's this? And let me try that. And she's like, do you want me to put this detox something in your water? I'm like, sure, give it all to me.
Yeah.
But when we were 18 years old and my mom like cooked everything in Crisco and there was nothing healthy in our house, she tells my kids that fruit snacks are healthy. I don't even have fruit in them. So I did not grow up healthy, and so Casey's all of her food, she worked out all the time, she ate super healthy, and I thought she was crazy, and I really wish I would have asked more questions and kind of embraced it. I do wish I would have embraced the healthy eating much sooner.
Yeah, I was just giving you hell because it
no,
was
I
funny
know
back
it was
in the
super.
day.
She pulled like pine nuts out of her bag.
And
she's
yeah,
like,
as
"They're
like a
good."
freshman in college. Yeah, a part of it was my dad was a crazy health nut, and so for breakfast we would get grape nuts or shredded wheat, like the one biscuit, in our little dish. Sometimes we could drizzle honey on it, but that was it. So we were kind of restricted, which I hated as a teenager, but I've come to appreciate as I've gotten older because, I don't know, I feel like it has just given me a little, maybe less sugar addiction than what I've had at times in my life to be able to have that palate or whatever. So anyway, yeah. So, okay.
What about you?
What would I share with my younger self about aging?
It's a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of things, but one of the biggest things I would probably share is that you just enjoy today. Enjoy where you are. Like, I've come to realize, and it's taken me a while to figure this out, and I still struggle with it, but all I have is this moment right now. And it's so easy to be in my head about, oh, well, once I get this job, or once I get married, or once I start a family, or once we get this house when I was younger, then I will have arrived, then I'll be happy. And like, it's not that I wasn't happy. I mean, I had a great upbringing, a great childhood, but I was always just kind of like hyper focused on that next thing, thinking that once I got there, then something would feel different, better, more whole, complete, whatever. And so what I would tell my younger self is, all you have, Casie, little Casie, is this moment right now. So have some freaking fun. Like, laugh, do something you enjoy, have that latte, eat that dessert. I've always been pretty good about eating my desserts, but so maybe I wouldn't say that. But just to embrace what is right now, because there is nothing else. The future never gets here. The past is gone. It only relives in your mind. So just have fun today. That's what I would say.
I think that's really good.
Yeah, thanks. And last question that we're going to ask our guest, but I'm going to ask you today, is what is your weirdest quirk that very few know about you? Or you could say an annoying habit. So something that Jeremy would tell me about you if you were here right now and you weren't.
Oh my gosh. I'm sure he would have a list. I would say the most annoying habit to him would be I kind of take care of the house and then he takes care of the garage. But whenever I have like recyclables or a box or an Amazon box or whatever, I just throw it out into the garage. And then there's like, he's constantly coming in and like, oh my gosh, like you can walk in here, there's all these boxes. And I think if he were to come into the house and just throw stuff like in my clean house somewhere, I would be so mad.
Yeah.
But I
like muddy boots or something.
Just anything, but I just literally just toss them out the door and just whatever. So I think he would probably say that's my most annoying habit. I don't know. I'm sure I have quirks. Nothing's coming to mind, but I'm sure there's like some weird things that I do.
They'll come out in the podcast. Don't worry.
I'm sure.
Just wait.
What about you? What would Dust or the kids say?
Well, Dustin and the kids give me such a hard time about the fact that I'm a scratcher and a sniffer. So I'm kind of like a chimp, I think. I mean, I will like smell my armpits. I will scratch my hair to see how dirty it is. My poor son, Carson, when I'm snuggling with him, I'll sniff his head to let him know if he needs to go like wash his hair, which he doesn't want to do right now because like the oil helps the style. You know?
Yeah, the bangs have to stick out.
Yeah. So the fact that I scratch kind of gross things like scalps and armpits and sometimes ears and then sniff it is definitely the thing that weirds my family out the most. And I don't know where I got that. Maybe it was just like self-consciousness about the way I smelled or something, but it's still there. I haven't broken that habit just yet. So yeah, scratch and sniff.
Now I feel like I need to share something a little more embarrassing, but I still don't have anything come to mind.
It'll come out. It'll come out.
It'll come out for sure.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun.
It has been fun. And so thank you for tuning in. If you're on YouTube, for listening in, if you're on a podcast. And the biggest thing about this journey is we want you to know that you are not alone in this process of aging. Jessica and I are going through it. You're going through it. You've got friends and others that are, and we just want to normalize the conversation so that we can start to change the way we feel and just recognize that some of the struggles that we experience through aging are not ours and ours alone to deal with. They're not yours and yours alone. We get to do this as a community, having some fun and learning as we go. So thanks for tuning in today.
Absolutely. So if you like this episode, you can you can follow us, hit the follow button. You can share with a friend. That would be great. Since this is a new podcast, we will take all of the likes, shares, comments, everything. And if you could take a minute to write a review, it would go a long way. It helps other people see our podcast more. It kind of boosts it so that it's more seen when you go and search for topics in the podcast app. So if you could take a minute and write just a 30-second review, we would love that. And if you want to follow us on Instagram, Casie is I'll let you share yours.
Yeah, so my Instagram handle is Casie Kindl. It's got kind of a funky spelling. So Casie is spelled Casie and Kindl is Kindl. And you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn, all under that same handle.
And you can find me on Instagram at Jesica Bries. It's JESICA BRIES. And I'm also on Facebook, and I've been trying out the old TikTok, even though I'm a little old for it. So you can find me on TikTok too. And yeah, comment or find us. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear what you think of the episode. If you have any ideas for future episodes, topics that you want us to talk about, we would love to hear from you. So give us a shout.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us for episode 1, and we look forward to sharing episode 2 with you soon.